Hey everybody, Riot Mort here, and it's finally time, Dev Hour Episode 2, where we go over every 2-cost TFT has ever printed and make a tier list out of them. And I am joined by the same special guest, but just in case anybody missed Dev Hour Episode 1, Witty, you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, it'll surely only take an hour.
Yeah.
I'm Wittrock. I also go by Witty. I'm a set designer, been the set lead of many sets, including Remix Rumble most recently, and I don't know. I do a lot of gameplay stuff. There's some artifacts that are coming out soon.
Ooh, can't wait.
Or already out. I don't know.
No, they won't be out yet, so it'll be close. Close though. And then Giovanni.
Hello, I'm Giovanni. Also was a set lead in the past for Fates and Gizmos and Gadgets, and now I'm moving around helping out every set. So
Nice. All right, well, like I said, this is going to take forever, so let's just dive right into it. This is every 2-cost. Now, 2-costs are weird, by the way, and I think of all the lists, this is going to be the hardest, because for a long time, we hadn't really defined what a 2-cost was, and so they kind of like jumped all over the place for a while there. So, and I think our idea of what makes a good 2-cost has changed, and I don't know, does that sound about right?
it's certainly still the cost that's the most in flux even to this day. I think we've got a couple that we're pretty confident are like this is good 2-cost territory, but I think we still experiment in this space a little bit. So
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to judge them.
A lot of weirdos. We're gonna see some comparisons that I think we're like, oh, wow, these are very different.
Yep. All right, well, kicking it right off the bat, Lysandra. Now, it's funny because this one has a cool history, because this was the unit I always remember that when I first joined the team, we were like, she's purposely supposed to be terrible. And we moved away from that very quickly.
Yeah, she was one of the set one units. There was a handful that were like, they're bad, but they're bad so that some other thing can be really strong. In this case, it was the Elementalist Golem.
Yep.
This, in a weird way, was like the very, very earliest version of Mech, where it was like, oh, you have to hit like very specific units and you get this powerful thing. That's still like C or D tier to me.
C or D, okay.
We did reprint this once, effectively, in set 6, right? And so I don't mind the shape of spell of like stun a target, do some AoE damage. I think we could do it again. I don't know about the like if below half, do it on herself, because then you want a frontliner business to it. So that kind of puts it down to C specifically for this version of it, I think, for me. Maybe D as well.
All right.
C probably.
I'll put it in C. I like that, but I don't like it on a 2-cost. Like, if this was a 4-cost, I'd be like, what a good kit. But it's a 2-cost. It's so complicated for a 2-cost.
I will say that this is the first unit that kind of had me really excited about like the idea of going infinite on a character through like some form of lifesteal or whatever. So or sustain, because she would just keep healing up and using it on herself over and over.
Yep. All right. Ari, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember this Ari. What was this Ari?
This is just straight up Q orb Ari, magic damage on the way out, true damage on the way back, and this was within the context of the set one like smaller board. So this was
right.
I think this may have been the first like Vel'Koz hex. Like, maybe I don't put it in the back.
Well, yeah, because I remember it as like the reprint that we'll come up to later, but I didn't realize that was the same one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
This was fixed distance as well, right?
Yes. Yep. So move further up, more chance of hitting the back line.
Yep.
Cared a lot about angle sort of stuff. B to me.
Okay.
I'm in a similar boat. I do think that when we talk about like TFT as it exists now, the idea of taking what are normally fragile characters and purposely putting them first or second row is not something we like to do as much anymore. But generally, I'm like positive on it. I'd also put it as B with some changes, caveats for what we learned, basically.
Yeah, I'm not I'll leave it in B tier, but I'm not a fan of this. Like, it's so unintuitive for players. Be like, oh yeah, just put Ari in the second row, no problem. By the way, her range is 4. Like, I don't know, it's so weird. But all right, Blitzcrank, the only 2-cost to ever have a unique trait.
S. This is an S tier unit. This is definitely my first S.
Oh no! What?
This guy defined the game for kind of early TFT and introduced a lot of players to positioning. I think this was also the best like we're gonna see a bunch of versions of this Blitzcrank, right?
Yeah.
But the set 1 version was the one where he wasn't default included in any comp. Like there was 5 bruisers, I think, and bruiser only went up to 4, and so you had to like go out of your way to play him. You would tech him in. I thought this made set 1 like way more interesting.
Okay. Giovanni?
So it's difficult because the further we go back, the more we are, I think, kind of taking elements of what they were at the time, but also elements of what they would be now and making a comparison. We've reprinted this multiple times, so clearly it must be, or was a good spell at some point.
Yep.
Would we print this again? I don't think so. And so for me, it's one of those like A tier for the time, but we probably aren't going to reprint it.
I'm gonna keep it at high A tier. I don't think it quite deserves S. But the thing I will give credit for, by the way, I think this was the first threat. Like,
yeah.
Because like what you were saying, Witty, I think is really good here. Like the fact that it didn't have an origin actually helped it a lot, and I think is something that we need to keep an eye on more. So.
I also appreciate that his origin isn't even an origin these days. You could just start with full mana, and we wouldn't call it.
Oh
out,
yeah,
so
yeah.
There's even some controversy about introducing that as a concept of you can cast your spell at the start of combat. That's so unfair.
Well, just get the robot emblem. Oh wait. All right, Jace. This was one of the ones that got added a little later. This was the shapeshifter. I'm trying to remember. Like he was the one who started ranged and then jumped in, right?
Think so. My memory of this is very fuzzy. It's definitely like ranged form was get a burst of attack speed, I think.
So he started melee, knocked them away, and then became ranged.
Oh right, it was backwards. Oh, this was so bad. I remember this, and it was like always terrible. Like there was no itemization that worked. Oh, I remember this one now. Yeah.
Even reading it, I don't remember it. But also he was in Hextech, which there's a lot going on here that I'm not a fan of. So
yes,
that's why maybe just goes into D. Like I don't have good things to say about this guy. So
yeah, I think he's D. I think starting melee and switching to ranged was so silly. All right, Braum. This is Shieldy Braum.
I love Braum.
And this is the set 1 version still, right?
Yep. We're in Guardian Glacial.
For me, I'm a big fan of hyper tanks, especially at 1 and 2 cost. I do believe that we're kind of moving away from that world where they like all kind of need something to usually move combat forward a little bit, but that can just be their auto attack damage. This comfortably sits at A tier for me. It's like dirt simple. He's got really great visuals for it. You can appreciate him. He has windows of weakness. It doesn't heal back up off of it. It's just a really good tank spell. It's super simple. I might put it as 1 cost these days instead of 2 cost, but I think it could still be a 2 cost spell.
So I'll drag this down to B for me, in part because there's a bunch of weirdness that I think people maybe don't remember or didn't realize. I'm pretty sure this had like Summoner's Rift Braum facing as well.
Yep.
So if you were getting attacked from behind,
it did
damage reduction.
It did.
I think this blocked missiles, which we didn't do the next time we reprinted it.
Yes.
Which was crazy powerful. And there was the weirdness of like he was terrible with Glacial. Guardian was fine, but so I'll put it in B. Like we still. Like this led to a lot of good things, but had also a bunch of weird baggage.
I'm with Witty, low B.
That's totally fine for me. I'm definitely thinking of like 4.5 Braum.
Yes, right, where we like cleaned it up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. No, I get that.
All right, so this goes below RE and B tier. All right, Lucian. Witty.
All right, I'm already gonna advocate for another S.
Woof.
This I think spawned like one of our best patterns that we just keep repeating.
Blue buff
set over set.
Yeah.
Was one of the, I think, most clear executions of it as well. Lucian just has a really, really clear short dash, double tap things. And like this is one of my favorite like opener DPS characters. Playing early noble felt good. Felt really good with gunslinger. Like at the very least high A, but it's not going to be high S. But I'm like, this is low S to me.
I very much agree with the general like pattern he created. I was thinking high A. I could see low S as well. Either way.
I'm in low S as well. I do agree that like it was kind of the quintessential 2 cost, and we keep coming back to it. Like set 11 Kindred is basically this to some extent. If I had to dumpster him a little bit, the whole like half AD, half AP thing is kind of nonsense. But I still think he gets a lot of credit for frankly being ahead of his time, and a lot of 2 costs to this day wish he was as cool as he is. So yeah, I go low S. I'm with you on S. All right, Lulu.
I love Lulu. There are problems with this spell that I wouldn't reprint it exactly how it is. But as far as like a 2 cost with a support spell goes, like this is good. I might redo the targeting. We might add some offensive element potentially so it doesn't permanently stall out fights. But like back in the day, like it was a support unit that you were excited to go like Rage Blade Shojin on. And I think that's awesome. I have a lot of fond memories of her. So for me, it's like comfortably A tier.
Yeah, this is the type of unit where I'm like, I don't have very many like very bad things to say about her, other than like there's a lot of modern elements that we would change up here. She wasn't amazing. I'm probably high B, I think, but right in that ballpark as well.
I'll put her at low A for now, below Blitzcrank. What I will say is I agree that like we've reprinted this spell in like different ways a couple times, like you said, more modern. But there were some really good memories also of like Deathcap, Sorcerer, Lulu making giant things. Like she for set 1, she left some good memories. And like she didn't not end fight. Like as far as support units go, she actually could kind of end fights in some ways. So I don't know. I think low A is fine.
Cool.
Oh, Witty, Twisted Fate, your secret blue card Easter egg.
Yeah, this is the first champion that we added to set 1. I think the very next patch after launch to round out Pirate. We were like missing a 2 cost. He was like bizarrely complex for a 2 cost. Like this is like certainly like 3 or maybe some version of a forecast pattern in modern TFT. I still think he was like good in a lot of ways. So I'm probably in. It's definitely better than Uri to me. I think maybe it's around the same. Like there are drawbacks as well. So I'll somewhere in B for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd also put him somewhere in B. He very strange guy. There are moments of tension that come from like selecting cards that's like interesting, and there's inconsistencies that I like on lower cost units, but I never fell in love with him by any means. So he just kind of average.
I will put him below Ari, above Braum. The thing with him is he's way over complexity budget for a 2 cost. I actually think he was kind of ahead of his time though, in the sense that like if you told me this guy came back as a 3 cost and just cycled in order like red, blue, gold, or something like that, I think he'd be great. I'm surprised we haven't revisited the choose a card thing. I think modern stuff would say random is awful, right? Just like, guess I lose because it picked blue, but you know. But I think for a first champion, not too bad. All right, Rek'Sai.
I was talking to someone about this the other day. Apparently nobody remembers this spell but me.
Oh, I remember that, yes.
I kind of like this spell. This was go untargetable briefly, go underground, heal up a bit, pop up, knock 1 unit up, do some damage.
Yep.
Awkward for what was basically supposed to be a tank character. Yep. And like, you know, kind of whatever. This is probably like somewhere in C for me.
I don't think we would reprint this. I don't think we would like revisit this. Didn't really like this unit at all. Like this might be D tier for me.
Yeah, I think this is D above Jace. The thing is, I definitely remember this spell. I think this was early on where we hadn't really figured out identities. And like you said, like even the fact that you called her a tank, like I don't think that was clear at the time. There were people trying to make her DPS carry, and it did true damage. So the void like confused the shit out of you. And I also remember this started the thing where how many sets in a row did you use Rek'Sai, Witty?
I think it was just set 1 and 2, but yes, you and a few people always memed on me.
I was like,
how
why?
did Rek'Sai make both set 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Unique silhouette, that's the answer.
I know. Varus. Which Varus is this? I could not tell you what Varus this was.
This is Q. Long cast.
Really?
Go farthest. Yep. This was Q. Okay. Same as set 2. We did this again. This is like B for me. Maybe it's like awkward and unmemorable enough, but like maybe that drops it down to C of like it's a weird combination with traits, weird combination with Ranger.
Yeah.
He was the caster Ranger kind of intentionally, but
Right, but like no one itemized him because he was always itemizing Ash or Kindred. Like I remember him basically being just like a trait bot.
Yeah, even in Demon, you didn't want to itemize him. It could have been a balance thing as well, but at the end of the day, like would I redo his Q? Of course.
I mean,
but
yeah, we've done that.
within,
So
yeah, but within this space that his traits and stuff, it's like C tier. It's like not great. Maybe even lower. I don't know.
all right, I'll put it directly below Lysandra. I don't think it was quite like I said. The spell is solid. It's just yeah, in conjunction with these traits, I agree, it was pretty bad. Shen, this this is a weird one. This is again when we talk about like us learning what the hell a 2 cost is. Shen's a weird one.
for whatever reason, I don't remember what spell this was.
Dodge, 100% dodge
Yep.
chance.
This is
of
a
an aura.
dodge. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but at least it was 100%. So like, as far as all of our dodge outcomes go, this one's like acceptable.
Yeah, it's really weird because 100% dodge chance is actually immunity to physical damage unless you have dodge piercing.
Yep.
Something we would not revisit again. I know. But the idea of like a frontline tank who also supports their nearby allies is like a generally positive thing to me. In a world where dodge exists, this is like, I'd rather have this than 50%. And so like within the context of the set at the time, especially like as a ninja who could be one off as like a frontline unit and all this stuff, like I was pretty happy with the spell. Wouldn't revisit it in this shape at all, but I was happy with it. This is like a B tier for me.
Interesting. Witty?
Yeah, it's either the lowest B or the highest C of what we have right now. Like a lot of pieces that are wrong.
Okay.
But
I'll go high C then, because I don't think it's B tier. It'll be the highest C we've got so far. The thing to me is he was a ninja, but he was like the ninja you never wanted. You couldn't itemize this guy because he had no synergy with items whatsoever. Like he was just, you put him in comps because he was well statted because of ninja, but that was it. I don't know. And like you said, we would literally never revisit this spell, which also knocks it down a bunch of pegs to me.
Yeah, the itemization is true because this is, early TFT before set 3, there was not AP scaling on every unit.
Yep.
And if you become 100% immune to physical, you don't want armor.
Right.
And
so it's like,
yeah,
what are you putting on this guy?
Yeah, so the C tier makes a lot of sense.
Yep. All right, Zed. This spell was throw the star.
this spell was the spell is actively bad. You care almost not about him casting it, but you just want uptime. Like we should have done a pure passive here. Like that would have felt great with Ninja and Assassin. So it's like basic. I want to say D tier and like even low D tier, but like if we had made this spell like no, I have no defense.
Okay.
This is somewhere D tier.
Okay.
Yeah, not memorable in the least. Volatile because it was in a line. There's just a lot I didn't like about this personally. And I put this comfortably.
I'm gonna put it above Jace, in D tier, but I don't think it's quite as bad. Like Zed was still a memorable unit, and like he had AD and stuff. I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but like the part I'm agreeing with you with is the spell. Like you said, if you just deleted the spell, he was a better unit, and that's probably not where we want our spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Pike, triple frozen heart Pike.
This one is tricky for me because this dude was super memorable.
Oh, yes.
He was also crazy overpowered,
Oh, yes.
I think, for most of set 1.
All
some
of
of it
set
was
1?
Frozen Heart, but some of it was just like this dude had the like crazy amount of stunning. It was super good on that board. We also then reprinted versions of this multiple times.
That were also OP. Turns
like,
out board wide AoE 1.5 like wasn't even like 2 seconds at the time too. Like that was
I'm
a
sure,
massive
yeah.
stun. Board wide stun at 2 cost was probably not the play.
Yep. Utility Assassin.
And then yes, triple frozen heart was I'll never forget my 0.21 attack speed champions.
So what's interesting about this is I view this spell, maybe not in the spell set 1 iteration specifically, as like a really good 2 cost in that it provides utility and damage and can operate without items or with different kinds of items. Like I actually like this a lot. yes, he was overpowered. Yes, he could stun a lot of people on the smaller board, but like I was actually very positive with Pike overall.
We did a better version of this spell. I forget where and when, but we did like the correct version. Like
set 4 did it, and
yeah, the cultist version.
Was that it?
I liked it more there.
Yeah, because like there was one where you'd actually itemize Pike and like he could do a bunch of damage. Maybe it was that one. I swear there might even be one more, but like I said, the spell shape is fine if it doesn't stun the whole board.
Yeah. Within the context of set 1, not perfect, but paved the way for.
All right. So what's the tier call here?
This is the highest C, I think, for me. Looking at the comparables.
Yeah. I sure.
Could I talk you up to lower like right below Braum? Because like the fact that we reprinted it shows that it has like again set 1 learnings and everything, but we did reprint it, you know.
Yep.
All right, the champ we always do dirty, my boy Malzahar. We've moved into set 2.
So this is summon
summon
like,
2 minions. Or 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, scaled to star level.
Yep.
Obviously very good with Summoner. Shadow was pretty good. I think this guy could genuinely carry at various times.
Yes, he could.
Really, one of the many things in set 2 that were like damaging combat clarity a lot.
Yeah.
Certainly I wouldn't do this guy at 2 cost again, and I probably would make sure like we hadn't developed more modern capabilities like set 10 Yorick of making the units like not fully units that took up X's and stuff, right? Like there's
we're also just having 6 summoners.
Yeah. Wouldn't summoner is all the same thing. So I'm like, he probably also is low B for me.
I'd probably put him in C tier personally, just because of all the problems that kind of followed with like Summoner in the set, and I don't know. I would not be looking to reprint like any version of this realistically that does something similar, but I do think we could do the Yorkie version, for example.
So I have massive bias on this champion. This champ, like nobody could get to work, but I would always play him and get him to work. This was my champion. Like Shadow Summoner Malzahar was my comp. I love this guy. But it was obviously, as a designer, yeah, all the things you said, very problematic. I'm going to put him below Pike because of that bias, and I'm not even calling it out, but I get it. Like, I think, like, if Malzahar got reprinted as a 2 or 3 cost that summoned minions and just, like, did, like an inoffensive Zyra, like live Zyra, that doesn't really bother me. So I think in modern standards it's not that bad. But yeah, filling the board with summoner style minions was not great. So all right, Witty, Rek'Sai's back doing more forgettable things.
Yeah, this was just straight up bite a single target for true damage.
Yep, that's it.
It's a weird spell to be like, it's like terrible, but it's certainly not good.
I would also like to point you, if you have it up for any reason, the scaling on this, which was 250, 550, 1,100, I think, at one point maybe, which is like
Predator scaling.
What in the world is this scaling? It's like 3-star or bust. Like,
yep. Oh yeah, and reroll Rek'Sai became a thing where she would just delete your frontliners. Yep.
Nice satisfying chomp.
All right, so what's the tiering?
We're in C somewhere for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. We wouldn't reprint this. It was memorable, but only because it was just one single instance of huge damage. Predator was, I think it was for me more carried by like Predator and
Steel, right? Like
Steel
let's just
well,
become untargetable, or invincible. How about above Varus, below Lysandra?
Sure.
Okay. Better than set 1 though. At least we were moving up on Rek'Sai. Skarner, I cannot believe this guy was a 2 cost.
This is definitely worse than Rek'Sai for me.
Yes.
Less fun as Predator.
Yes.
The stuff to talk about with Crystal. This was the guy that made the most sense with Crystal, but you know that doesn't get you very far. I think this was attack speed only while the shield held.
Yeah. Which is why you would try to go like RFC Skarner, which was so stupid and bad.
Yeah, this guy's definitely below I'm trying to think if this is either the worst or just above Jace for me.
Yeah, I put this comfortably at the bottom of D tier, maybe right above Jace as well. This anti-pattern of while the shield holds, do X is anytime I see it, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, we should not
We've
be
been
doing
killing
this.
that
This does
lately.
not work.
Yeah.
Kill it immediately. So
Yes, because don't you just love casting, having your shield disappear in 0.5 seconds and doing nothing? It's so good.
it's, oh, please generate a shield, but don't hurt me so I can,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just above Jace sounds right to me. All right, Jax. I do not remember this Jax other than, is it just the twirl and dodge and be immune?
Because you went Iceborne Gauntlets on him, I believe, or something like that at the time.
Oh, I thought that was Shen that you put Iceborne Gauntlet on. Anyway.
I think it was. There's definitely dodge Jax, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
So basically the same spell as set 1 Shen, except only selfish, doesn't apply to allies, does a little bit of damage at the end.
Oh, right, because it's set 2. Okay,
And stuns.
Yeah. Yep.
And stun. You're right, and stuns. It's Berserker. He's light.
I don't remember ever itemizing this guy. I remember him being so forgettable.
I remember Iceborne Gauntlets filling up the entire board.
Yes,
It was whenever
yes.
you dodged, right?
You made a hex.
Yeah. So you would just put two Iceborne Gauntlets on him, and the entire board would be frozen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this, and I wouldn't reprint this. So this is like C or D tier to me. Like probably D.
I think we're in mid to high D compared to
I
the
think
other.
it's better than Rek'Sai. I think it's better than Rek'Sai.
Top of D.
Top of D for now. All right, Syndra. Was this the Fling Syndra?
No, this is Orb on Ground Syndra.
Oh, right. She was like
extremely hard to follow.
That's right.
Random enemy too.
Well, this is pure random. Was this pure random?
I think it was pure random.
Yeah.
Which made it hard to follow.
Yeah.
Ooh, this one's really low.
Yeah, especially she was also Ocean, right? So you'd get an Ocean comp going, and she'd just be casting and casting and casting.
Yeah, and I'm sure she was like powerful.
No,
like,
she was weak. Like I don't remember
matter.
itemizing her at all.
Okay. I don't. Yeah, she's.
Yeah, the only thing I even remember from Ocean was the pair, right? Because it was Thresh Nautilus that you ran as a front line for. I need a front line.
Right, and then you would add in Nami plus one more if you wanted to go for Ocean because Nami was Nami.
Yep.
But yeah, Syndra was like you avoided her at almost all costs.
Yeah, Vlad was the other one.
Forgettable unit, not great targeting, never put in Ocean. Like this is also D tier to me. It's like it's not good.
Yeah, between Jax and Rek'Sai.
All right.
Set 2 not looking great.
Everyone loves the 3-4-5 cost in that set. So LeBlanc. Although to be fair, if I remember right, this LeBlanc was not the worst. Like this was actually a decent LeBlanc.
So this is the same LeBlanc as
Set 5.
It's 5 LeBlanc. Yep.
Right, except without the Shadow Blue buff.
Without Shadow Blue, and she's wait, were they both assassins?
Yeah. Because that was the problem. Shadow Blue buff LeBlanc jumped to the back line.
It was Woodland Assassin Mage.
Right.
Yeah, this was the fork of you're playing Woodland. You need to transition out of it because it does not scale in the late game unless you hit Woodland Lux.
Right.
You can go 2 very different paths, and she's a useful you're not itemizing her. This is what's still early TFT where we're saying she's actively just a utility champion.
Yep.
She's just gonna stun some backliners.
Was she utility champion? Her stun was 1 second. And back in old TFT days, 2.5 seconds was the real stun durations for a lot of units. So
she is a mage.
That is true.
So she's spreading her stun around. If I remember, I think she switches targets, so it's just stun a bunch of backliners. She's worse Pike, but that's probably a good thing in a way. It's clarity a little worse, generally more confusing than Pike. Gameplay probably played out better than set 1 Pike in a lot of ways. So it's she's just right next to Pike, sort of. Okay. Maybe she drops down to C, but
yeah, for me it's C tier, personally. But
okay, I'm gonna go top of C tier then.
Well,
okay. Senna, I have fun. I mean, okay, the soulbound part of this is obviously tricky because it was the whole you'd run GA on one of them. I think it was usually the Lucian. I can't remember which one you'd run GA on, but you'd run GA on one of them, and then Lucian would just kill the board and do the other thing. But it was GA Soulbound was definitely a problem.
So she would target an ally, shoot a beam at them, heal allies hit, give them a buff and deal damage to enemies that were caught in it, right?
Right. So it was her on the back line, Lucian on the front line, Lucian with the GA, or no, sorry, Senna with the GA. Lucian would be the ghost and go soulbound. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was a very confusing spell, and it was very overly designed.
Yes, I agree. I would not look to reprint this. There were elements of it I like, but as a whole package, it's pretty low tier for me. Probably C. Not like there's nothing here to salvage, like D tier kind of style, but it's low C for me.
Yeah, the other thing that helps it a little bit and probably also still puts it in the middle of C is like as an expansion content, like you're still playing set 2 like a month and a half in.
Yeah.
It was good that Lucian and Senna were like this very like kind of interesting, a little too complicated thing to play around. So I'm like, middle of C.
Better than Rek'Sai, worse than Lysandra?
Maybe above Lysandra?
Above Lysandra?
Sure.
Okay, above Lysandra. Nico, I mean, this spell is fine. It existed. It was the stupid Pot Blossom, right? She was a rain. But like, modernly, I think Nico as a backliner has made very little sense. The silhouette just does not fit. But I mean, the spell itself it exists. I don't know.
She was, as a contrast to LeBlanc, the dead end of Woodland, where you're like, yeah, you can, and I think we just like overtuned her numbers because she didn't have any offensive synergy, so it's like, she just does a lot of damage, but you still got to sell her, and she's still like awkward in a lot of ways.
But the spell itself was fine.
That's how I feel about it too. Is like if we were going to do a backline Nico version of this again, is reasonable. There would be tweaks. You could play her. I don't hate it. Like, I don't love it. For me, it's like high C, low B of just, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it's better than LeBlanc, but I think it's worse than Malzahar. I mean, again, the Malzahar bias is going to kill me, though, so...
Yeah, admittedly, I look at it a little bit lower. Like, weirdly, as a comparable, I like look at this as Varus, of like, the spell is fine, everything else around it is kind of nonsense. So, I don't know. I put it in mid to low C, but
all right, we'll put it at the top of C then. That seems like the middle ground here.
Yeah.
Speaking of Varus, he's back, but this time he like could be Inferno, and it wasn't the worst, at least this time.
It's certainly better than the other Varus.
Yes.
Pretty like straightforward, solid spell. Wasn't amazing. But and I don't think he was good ever, maybe because there was just a lot of Inferno champions, and
there were always better Inferno choices, like again, this is why we were struggling with 2 costs, right? It was like, if you're going to play a Ranger, you played someone else. If you're going to play Inferno, you played someone else. And 2 cost rerolls didn't really exist until like the end of 2, when we started over buffing them, and like Nico reroll and stuff. But Varus reroll was not really a thing. But again, the spell itself is fine. It's Q. I don't know.
Yeah, it's high C, low B for me. Just kind of one of those. Yeah, it's a spell. It's a thing.
Yeah, I'd put it below LeBlanc, above Shen, probably.
Okay, I'm okay with it. Thresh. So everyone played this champion because his traits were amazing. Because you'd always play him in Nautilus. I couldn't tell you what he did, but he sure did survive and have traits.
He shielded an AoE around the lowest health target.
So he threw the lantern.
Yeah, so the lantern throw is something we've revisited. Although nowadays, because I think he was 2 range, right? And so he was usually like often shielding himself, but because he was positioned near somebody who was low health because they were on the front line and ended up getting shielding him. It's weird because it's kind of a frontline utility.
Yep.
And nowadays we treat that more as like a tank utility kind of frontliner. Given Ocean Warden plus the combo with Nautilus, generic frontliner, good, like helps your frontline stabilize without being in the back line. I for the time, I'm overall quite positive on him and would put him comfortably in like high B personally.
Yeah, I'm more mid to low B, because I think fundamentally, like, we've been reprinting a version of Lantern Throw, and I've basically never loved it because it's just not a high clarity spell.
Yeah, I mean, it's on live right now, and like most of the time people don't even realize he's shielding someone else.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, shielding my Yasuo, so.
I think I'll put him at maybe just straight up the bottom of B. Like,
all right, I'm down with it. Down with bottom of B. Okay, we have made a lot of Yasuos. This might be the worst Yasuo.
This is blink to... Who is he blinking to in this
The
version?
most items.
And didn't he have to be in range of them too? Or I thought there was a range.
I doubt it. Set 3 probably has a range restriction, but...
I don't think set 2 did. I could be wrong on that.
Okay.
Maybe it's just not in the tooltip.
It may have been closest with most items.
I don't remember, but I just remember like we made a better version of this later, right? And then his traits were weird. You played him because Cloud was interesting.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the whole most items thing was very odd, and clarity is like nonsensical here.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not reprint this. And I don't think it was great at the time either.
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the whole like teleport and knock someone up thing you could reprint, but it'd have to be like 4 or 5 cost. Like it's not a 2 cost spell.
I mean, if you look at Yone on live, that's kind of, teleport and destroy a unit with the most items, so.
Ow.
And gain a shield.
Oh, God.
But with higher clarity.
Yeah, true.
I'll put this guy next to Syndra in D. It's kind of similar problems to Syndra of like functional but really hard to follow and like didn't make a splash.
There are enough problems here that even though we're okay with reprinting the general shape, it's like not a 2 cost.
Yeah,
now,
all
these patterns, yada yada. So
okay, so below Jax, above Syndra.
Yeah.
All right. Volibear. Man, electric was a fun trait that you'd really want to play. That's for sure.
I only remember Orin and electric. So
this is bite for magic damage. If it kills them, refunds mana, and maybe has one other. Does it do like extra damage if they're low health, or was that straight up it?
Let's see. Volibear bites his target, dealing damage. If the target is below 35%, it kills the target and restores Volibear's mana to full. Yeah, okay.
Oh, so guaranteed kill if they're low.
Right, so he could like chain bite. Remember, he'd be like crunch, 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 because it would go back to full mana. That's right. You didn't have to like. Yeah, that was kind of fun. I mean, obviously I'd never reprint it, but.
And I'll tell a story here real quick so accidentally we fixed a bug or reworked mana or something at like the last couple of patches, and made the speed at which he would chain crazy fast. Like
I remember this.
Slow on live. It's crazy fast, and we were like, "This is crazy fun," but we were developing set 3 Darius, and so we were like, "Don't ship that. Save it for Darius. We have a just way better version, way more clear version of that pattern." So we validated Darius through this spell, but
yeah, I remember liking the general idea behind this spell, but not the ceremony at all. Like that bite did not feel great.
It was just way worse Darius.
Combat.
Yeah.
So it paved the way for something really cool, but at the time it wasn't as memorable as it could have been. And so for me, it's like C tier. Like
also uses none of his traits whatsoever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Looking at the rest of C though, it's like high C for me.
Sure.
I was gonna say, how about above Shen, below Varus?
Sure.
All right. Hey, Brahm's back, but slightly better. I mean, it has to be better than set 1, Brahm.
No, I think this one also absorbed projectiles.
Did it?
Yeah,
I remember this was the first time though people were running the like Bramble Brahm 3s that would like win games.
That is true.
Which was kind of fun.
I'm not sure that we've basically fixed any of the problems here.
Okay.
So like it's just literally above the other Brahm, but right next to him, I think.
Okay. Just directly above that Brahm. Okay. Okay, we've made it through set 2. We didn't kill TFT. Time to go to set 3. And what a way to start off with Infiltrator Kaisa.
You said Demolitionist Spat? Is that what you said?
That's what I said. Demolitionist Kaisa. What if she jumped to the back line and AoE stunned everybody?
Yeah, I mean, if Demo Spat didn't exist, which obviously it did, it's still just mediocre.
Yeah.
When we talk about units that go to the backline of TFT these days, I think diffusing the damage they deal or having them ramp up over time are good solutions to like the frustrations that like Infiltrator, Assassin like provide. And so like I'm actually kind of positive on this, knowing what we know now, but back in the day, she was kind of largely unappreciable in comparison to other units in her traits, and without demo spat, she was kind of unmemorable. So it's kind of weird because it's like I actually like this design more now than I did back then.
Yeah.
There's also a piece of this spell I really like that I don't think played out of it was a fixed number of missiles within a relatively small radius.
Yep.
So if she got into a big clump, she didn't get to do very much. If she got to isolate someone, she got to nuke them. I think that's generally good assassin gameplay.
Well, yeah, because wasn't she a Morello user for the most part?
Yeah, which kind of like counters that. I'm like, I kind of wish this unit was more, not build Morello's stun bot, but instead be like, yeah, I'm trying to assassinate someone, but if you clump against me, clearly I'm like missing out.
I think Kaisa being an assassin was also like probably the least true. We've like for first Kaisa appearance, it feels pretty untrue to the character, but
she was in set 1.
Oh, right.
As a 5 cost.
Right.
Who just attacked really fast and gained a shield.
Right. Which was
I think it was also an assassin, but I don't remember.
Yeah. All right. What's the tiering?
Oh, God. Everything's in C tier.
Yeah, for me, this is like high C, low B.
I think this is top of C right now.
Okay.
I think it's better than Nico.
All right, yeah.
Hey, Ari's back.
Is it the same thing?
It's literally the same spell, but now it's a 4-wide board
damage?
though.
Or does it still have true damage?
It still has the true damage.
Okay, which I think still kind of works on a 2 cost, like because you don't have crazy power budget.
I was just talking to a Nico about this champion, and the problem, like challenger players loved this champion, right? They would play her all the time. They'd put her in the, like I said, the Vel'Koz spot. That true damage was really valuable, and they could play her well. Pretty much all of our normal players were like, I don't understand. You put her on the back line, she's garbage. And on the 4-wide board, it was even worse.
Yeah, I think this gets worse with the bigger board. So I don't know. It's a lot worse. It's probably right below the other Ari.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, it might be below the Brahms personally, but it's certainly below the other Ari.
Yeah, I was actually thinking below the Brahms, so I'm going to agree with you on that one, just because it does lose a lot of its luster with that bigger board.
Yes.
So, Infiltrator Zed. He attacked.
I liked this. So this is pure passive. Every 3 attacks do, I think, a chunk of extra physical damage and steal an amount of AD.
God, the AD steal.
I remember because I fixed a bug where he would, like, we'd overflow and he'd get 1,000,000 AD or whatever if like someone like Sivir gained AD and then whatever. Anyways, yeah, some kind of snapshotting problem or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't love the AD steal here.
Yeah.
I think the visual. I also give credit to we're gonna have a reprint of this. This one or close to a reprint. This one gets credit for this skin had like a super sick like tendrils come out of his back and like stab the person. I thought this unit was really fun to watch.
Okay.
It's still. I'm probably in low B with this one, but apparently I seem to like this a decent amount.
I'm fine with low B. There are enough elements here that would be harvested if we redid it again, minus that AD steal.
The AD steal's really bad. Yeah. Everything else I agree with. Like passive was good, damage was good. The AD steal was gross, and it led to us thinking that was okay with stuff like Trundle later. But if you told me it's the worst B, is it better than Kaisa? Witty's gonna say yes. Giovanni, is it better than Kaisa?
For the time, yes.
Okay.
These days, no.
Okay, then I'll say it's the lowest B for now. Shen's back. Now he's a Blade Master. You still don't itemize him.
Yeah, that's almost... I don't think we've solved any problems here.
Nope.
We just kind of have the exact same Shen, I think.
Well, but he was in Chrono, which was a splashable 2-piece. You were more likely to run him than a solo ninja Zed. So I think it's just above, but otherwise the exact same.
Well, wasn't Blade Master Chrono also Riven? So it was like, yeah, you would almost put him in comps all the time. It was almost like too easy to slot him in. But I think that was better. Yeah. I'm gonna put him just above the other Shen.
Yep.
Xin Zhao, the champion that I think goes down, not this particular Xin Zhao, but just Xin Zhao in general, goes in like every time we attempt to make this champion good in TFT, he's just not.
Yeah.
I mean, this functioned. It was viable, but stab and gain a shield.
No, hit 3 times.
Well,
and
right.
you trigger on hit effects.
Yeah. I forgot all the hurricanes and Zhao's running around.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like...
I liked protectors, but he as a unit within it.
His spell may as well have been just like gain a shield repeatedly. That's basically how people used him.
And the knockup was nice for, you know, general crowd control and frontliners. So like, it's somewhere in C tier for me. It's not horrible. It's not great. It's forgettable.
I think we're in low C. Maybe we're at the bottom of C.
Worse than Varus?
I don't know. The counter is like, people do sort of remember this guy, or at least like he was bringing the like Celestial Protector package together. In a way, he's arguably one of our more successful, like very early low-cost melee carries, because turns out just a shield and a little bit of damage is what a low-cost melee carry needs.
How about directly above Senna in C tier? Does that work?
Yeah.
All right. The fuck, I'm just gonna say it. This is my video. This isn't a Riot video. The part of the package of Bang Bros, Yasuo and Master Yi.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he definitely got a lot of playment because of that, but
So this one was a reprint. No, it's the farthest enemy within his attack range +2 in case you were running RFC.
Yep.
But otherwise, knock them in the air briefly and then do 4, 5, 6 hits, but the number of hits scales with AP.
Perfect.
And rounds up.
Perfect.
Because we wanted to add AP scalers to everybody.
True. Better than Cloud Yasuo for me.
Yeah.
I mean, was still kind of like this is, I think, squarely back to what is a 2 cost, right? Because it's like, well, if you're playing Rebel Blade Master, you're playing around Yi, the 3 cost. That is just better to itemize. It had some utility, still really hard to follow. I don't even think that probably gets him up to... Maybe it gets him up to C?
I think he's above Jax, but I don't know if that breaks him into C tier.
I think he has to be C tier, just on the fact he was played so much and his traits were good. Like, I don't know. I think like it's like that was kind of the problem with Yasuo, is like he was Blade Master Cloud, so you couldn't play him in much. But this guy got played a lot. He got played a lot. And like when he killed, it was memorable. So I don't know. To me, this is like better than Xin Zhao, but I'm open to being wrong here.
Yeah, sure. That's
Yeah, right above.
Right above Xin Zhao is where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All right, Sona. All I remember about this Sona is Chalice. That's all I remember. Other than that, she healed people?
Yeah, did she do anything else?
like she cleanses CC. Which is something that we, for some reason, keep trying on occasion, and it's never noticeable or memorable for any reason.
Do we keep trying it? Who keeps
internally? We do, and then we pull it.
Okay. I was about to say, because I don't think I've ever let that out the door.
The last time we used it, I believe, was set 6 Garen, who would cleanse himself of CC in order to cast. You couldn't stop him from casting,
and that worked out well. Yeah.
I think the other big quirk here is I think this cleansed grievous wounds, which was both like it was not even intended and like crazy powerful.
Can we just call this the worst unit ever printed?
It's pretty.
I will say, like, I at least remember Sona, and I don't remember Jace, and I hate Skarner. I would actually put it above Skarner.
If Chalice didn't exist, is this true?
I think so. I would rather just have a backline support unit who heals than a Skarner in the game.
All right. Better than Skarner.
Sure.
Wear that badge with pride, Sona. You are better than Skarner. All right. Well, at least we can talk about positives here. Darius.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
We are up there. So I'll say there's going to be some 3-cost Dariuses in a future video that basically have the same pattern. I think this was my favorite one. I think this was actually correct to be a 2-cost, because as soon as you give 3-cost power budget, you have to do weird like damage fall off and try to solve a bunch of problems. And yeah, it's still an awkward 2-cost melee carry, but hot damn, it was one of the most memorable ones. all of that got to be like propped up by Space Pirate. Mana Reeve was totally random and bizarre, but you know that's where we're at. So
what tier?
This is S tier. Like it's a phenomenal spell. It's memorable. It's powerful. It's inconsistent for a 2-cost, which is great. It can't always scale up. You're excited to 3-star him. Like for the time, this was like I think one of the best 2-costs we ever printed.
yeah, S or high. I could see putting him at high A, but
Sure, that's fair.
I put him in S. I put him below Lucian. I agree. I think he's S. Again, but this goes back to our threats, by the way. This guy was basically a threat. Yeah. Like, you could run 2 Pirate, but that didn't actually do anything except dropped a little bit of gold. I don't know. I thought this was good. Yeah. All right, Mordekaiser.
This was your spell, Giovanni, I think.
I don't remember it. That's unfortunate.
Wasn't this the circle, like the particles around him thing? Like gain a shield and...
Was it in a 2-hex radius or a 1-hex radius?
1 hex.
Because I do... The only thing I remember about him was having a conversation with VFX about whether or not we should have different colors for different teams because we were getting confused.
Yeah. I thought there was one other hook here, but maybe not.
While the shield persists, he does damage in an AoE around him. So, yeah. Hey, Mordekaiser with a shield who does damage around him, I'm happy to redo that again. While the shield holds, not so much.
Yeah.
Also, 1-hex radius, like, you're realistically hitting in these days, and even back then, because of the board size, like 1, maybe 2 units, unless he's like solo frontlining. It's
the most boring Mordekaiser we've ever printed.
Set
oh
1.
No, it's set 1. You're right. Set 1. You're right. Phantom. I forgot. Phantom Mordekaiser. We'll always hold that.
I don't think he ever played out as this was kind of supposed to be the like mirror of 1-cost light Nasus of if you can keep him alive, he's gonna have like a ton of Dark Star stacks and is gonna be really strong.
There were Dark Star rerolls though with him.
Okay,
if
that played out, I'm like, this is somewhere in C.
I think one of the 2 units left alive, or one of the 3 units left alive most frequently in Darkstar was Mordekaiser, assuming you itemized him, Shaco because he dropped aggro, and Jin because he was a backliner.
Right.
And so it's coming back to me. I do remember him as like, the frontliner would be the last one alive. For me, this is like kind of like basically B tier.
His shields would get really big too.
Yes.
Like if he was like 6 Darkstar, he got some big ass shields.
Which is why I think I didn't even remember it was why the shield holds was because
it was so damn big,
him so much AP.
Yeah, because it was on a timer, right? Like 4 seconds.
Yep.
Yes. Maybe I don't remember. Maybe not.
I hope we didn't give him a fucking 2,000 health shield that just didn't expire.
Well, this is the set we introduced Mana Lock as well, right?
Sure, but still, like gaining 3,000 health and doing nothing is this. Yeah. So lowest of B, is that what we're saying?
I'd put it above Zed personally for me, but sure, lowest of B works.
Okay, I'll go above Zed.
I agree.
All right, Lucian. So this is basically a reprint, but I think this is worse. I think Cybernetic made it more confusing.
Yeah.
I think this just didn't actually work out nearly as much. So I think below Blitz.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I mean, it's still a good spell. It just trait-wise didn't work as well. So.
Yep.
And then we have Kog'Maw. I remember this guy being fun.
So gain a bunch of attack speed, maybe more infinite range, and deal
percent health. It wasn't true damage.
Health magic
damage, right?
Yeah, I like this guy a lot.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like you kind of like wanted to hybridize between attack speed and AP items on him. He took care of like certain threats particularly well, but you could still build around it. Like this is like an A tier spell to me. This is just good. It was well visualized. Like I had no concerns about him other than I didn't like Battlecast personally.
Yeah, I mean you could go Static Shiv, which was fun but never optimal. You could go other versions, but it was a good Ginsu's user. I think like for a 2-cost Ginsu's user, I think Kog'Maw's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Above Lulu?
Yeah.
I don't think he's S tier.
Oh, no, agree. Somewhere in A. Mid A, basically.
Okay. Nautilus. This was hit the ground in front of you, stunning that target, and I think shockwaving like around and doing some damage around that.
Did he knock up adjacent targets briefly or no?
I think it was knock up in a 1-hex AoE. I can't remember if the knock up was the same duration.
Right.
For
this
all
is
units, or
because this was
I think it was longer for the primary target.
Yeah, it was longer for the primary target at first, but like I think we had to like change that later. But there was a while where he made playing melee almost unplayable. It was just like, Nautilus stuns everything.
Yeah, he's stunned for 6 seconds on the primary target and half in an AoE around.
Oh, so just a 3-second AoE stun.
As 3-star. Yeah, that's a little bit of a stun, I would say.
I'm about to say, I remember there being a lot of complaining about Nautilus cast me no do nothing.
Yeah, understandable.
This starts an early trend that I think we liked for a while, and now I think correctly don't like as much, of lower cost tanks that CC a handful of units, usually the enemy frontliner, which mostly works, except the more that we try to carve out melee carry space, then it stops working. So
yeah.
It's probably, like, I think there's a pretty quick modern version of this that we maybe basically done, maybe already the set 4 version.
Isn't
of
Echo like the very, Echo's a very similar version of this.
Yeah, get a shield, have the stun be less extreme. I also think this kind of works better at even lower cost than Echo, because you don't have to deal with as much power budget to just make this powerful, so... It's in low B, maybe?
Yeah, low B, top of C. Like, this particular version of it is not great, but that does not mean that this spell is not, like...
I think it's better than Mordekaiser.
Sure, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll do better than Thresh as well, I think.
Okay. Better than Thresh? I can live with that.
But nothing beats Malzahar.
Look, man, Malzahar's pretty good.
Malzahar bar.
All right, we got 3 more on this set. Blitzcrank, he's back, but now he's a Brawler Chrono.
Way worse. So to me, just immediately, like, this guy is now central to maybe even the best of units to splash into Chrono, which flips the like threat concept, and to play 6 Brawler, which I think was pretty good at some points, because Gnar was good. So
this set had the Brawler problem where it was all flat health. So you would play 2 and 4 early and it would dominate, but it would fall off a freaking cliff because 800 flat health is garbage later. But the fact, again, it was more the fact that you had Blitzcrank, which was causing terror to everyone's backlines, and Shen in every early game comp. Was just like, okay, now what you do, buddy? So, yeah, I agree. Giving him traits was a big mistake.
This is not great, and we wouldn't reprint this again. Like, this is one of those things where we wouldn't reprint this spell these days at all. And if we did, we certainly wouldn't make it something you run in every comp, and we probably wouldn't even make it a 2 cost. So, like, there's not really much about this that is, like, salvageable.
So wait, are we going to take Blitzcrank, who is right now our 3rd best 2 cost, say we reprinted him and put him in what, C tier?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, yeah.
So just giving this guy traits knocked him all the way to C tier. That is fascinating. All right, where in C tier, Witty?
Let's see.
That's fascinating. There's a design lesson in there somewhere that's really important.
Turns out your traits and where you sit in the rest of the set matters a lot. We're kind of in like Varus territory of, I don't know.
Wow, that low? You're talking like bottom of C? Yeah, or do you mean Fire Varus?
The Fire Varus.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Right up kind of middle of C.
Okay, I'll put him directly above that Varus.
I'll also say that, like, something we talked about Chrono being, like, easily splashable. It's also unfortunate because he doesn't benefit from Chrono at all. He had like a 0.5 base attack speed, and even if you got a ton, cool, now he's at 0.7. Whoop-de-doo.
So, do you remember this Blitzcrank star scaling, by the way?
No.
We went nuts with this.
You killed people at 3-star.
Right? At 3-star, it was like 2,000 damage. It was just like, boop, you're dead. Which was hilarious. I don't know about healthy, but it was hilarious.
I think that's the right way to go about it too, when you're like that kind of unit, where it's like, hey, if you're gonna 3-star me and I don't have any defensive capabilities, I'm all about this utility. Like, there's no reason to star me up unless I do something transformative at 3 costs.
So I agree with that, but I don't know that transformative is delete your carry if you forgot to misposition them instantaneously.
Okay.
You're scout. What are you doing?
Jesus. Oh, also, by the way, Zephyr can ruin that anyway, so good luck.
No.
All right, Annie, this champion gets away with everything because, for all you know, she didn't do anything. She was a mech pilot. She was part of mech.
I mean, this starts the trend of basically our quintessential TFT anti-spell, right? Which is gain a shield and deal damage in a cone.
Yep.
I appreciate that a bunch. You're right that she was mainly played in Mech Pilot and never appeared. She popped out late and died immediately. But like, within Sorcerers, gave them a front line. We reuse this all the time. Like, with the traits maybe knocking this spell down in general, which would otherwise be like an A tier to me. So it's like A or B, depending on how we want to look at it, personally.
Yeah, like, I weirdly want to call this an A tier spell because there is so many things that this ended up doing right. Like, I don't think it fully played out, but it's like one of our earliest, like, you should put an explicit tank into your like tall sorcerer trait, and having access to mech in your tall sorcerer trait. I don't know that fully played out, but you know, that's another tank access. And yeah, this spell, like, should we have ever opened the door to Annie being a tank? I don't know.
Yes.
We opened the door and we left it open.
Because even as we look at all our champions right now, we do not have enough tanky frontliners or mages, you know, like AP tanks. So I'm glad she's a tank.
The little like 8-year-old girl being it's still like,
it's a little weird.
But you know,
she had her shield in her kit and therefore can be a tank.
I was talking to Medler about this, and even he was like, look, she's low range, she has a shield, it doesn't bother me, you know. So all right, Witty, you make the call. Bottom of A or top of B?
I'll go bottom of A.
All right, so she's below Lulu. Okay.
Oh, and we had opened this door by set 2 4-cost Annie is already a tank.
Right.
So we're like, let's make another tank Annie.
True, but via summon, right? You wouldn't actually frontliner her? Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think you still frontliner because but she was definitely one of the more confusing versions of it.
Sure.
All right, our last set 3. You know, only 8 sets to go, guys. We're making great time.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Rakan. I think better than Xin Zhao, but not by a lot.
Just knock up in an AoE, flat knock up 1.5. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of just better Nautilus. It's like kind of the exact same pattern. Get some stun on a few units, but in this case, get some backline access, looks a little bit cooler, has less weirdness to it.
It's currently a 5-cost spell on live, apparently.
I'm overall positive on this, honestly. It's within Protector and within Celestial, provided the defensive outputs needed for a frontliner despite not having any in the kit, mainly for like frontline utility disruption. Like, this is just a good spell. This is like A tier to me, honestly.
Ooh.
Like, this is...
Oh, I don't know if I would have gone A tier, but okay.
Or high B, whatever it may be. But
Witty, what's your call?
Very positive on this.
Yeah, we're either high. I think it's above TF.
Okay.
I think this might just be straight up the top of B.
Okay.
Like, I think that's
sure.
I can live with that. I can live with that. Okay, set 4, Thresh. This guy was played a lot. Couldn't tell you what he does because Dusk was a popular trait.
Reprint.
I think
right?
this is reprint.
Oh, so this is literally just the Thresh again?
Yep.
Okay.
This time with Dusk and the shield skills with AP.
Yeah.
And that works well here. So
directly above Ocean?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if it's just a reprint.
Actually, I think he for me is better than like Nautilus and Malzahar, but probably stops there.
I mean, I'm not going to give you better than Malzahar for a
Better
reprint, but Witty can tie break
Dust
me.
did a lot
to
add a lot of flexibility to him as a frontliner, so I'm much more positive on him than I was on set 2.
Yeah, and I agree Dusk did a lot here, but I think like we're over-indexing on Dusk and giving Thresh credit for that, and I don't think the spell deserves that much credit for that.
Okay.
Speaking of people who are back, Rakan.
This is run around disarming people. Rakan?
Oh, is this not a reprint? Okay.
I don't think so. It wasn't dev, and we did pivot it. I think someone check Google or whatever.
Yeah, we had too many AoE knockups, I want to say, in particular.
I'd believe that.
And this was in 4.5, and I believe this was worked with Chloe on this one to be like, well, how can we do CC that is not AoE knockup? And we're like, oh, we could do his ult. So yeah, Rakan dashes to the furthest enemy within range of 2.
Yep.
Disarming all units he passes through for a few seconds and taunting his target, then creates a shield on himself for 4 seconds.
Yeah, a lot for 2 cost.
A lot for
awkward combo of disarm plus taunt. It's certainly like, is this our first taunt?
No, No, we've definitely done taunts at other costs for
Okay,
sure.
okay.
For sure, this is not our first taunt.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of an awkward but functional tank.
This kind of reminds me of Senna, where it does a lot of things we kind of want it to do, but it's just over-designed. It's doing too much.
Yep.
It's not ceremonialized perfectly. And so it's somewhere right near Senna for me.
Okay. I'll put it directly below Zinjo. Okay. Where's Zinjo? All right. Above Senna, below Zinjo. We're getting to the point now where, at least on my screen, I can't fit the whole tier list on the screen. So, all right. Zed. Probably one of the most famous and frustrating Zeds of all time. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's just he was a Slayer. He jumped to the back line. Although...
I mean, he's a Slayer here. He's not Shade.
True. There were two versions of this. Shoot, I don't have both on this list. So let's just talk about that real quick. So he was a Shade.
I see both.
Oh, are
Shade's,
there?
Next to second
Oh, you're
row.
right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, let's do the Shade one first real quick.
Sure.
Because that was 4, right?
Yep.
That's the one that was like, he's on your back line. Because wasn't Shade also built-in aggro drop?
Yes.
Yep, it was whatever, like 3 attacks
Every
or something.
3 attacks, drop aggro or some crazy nonsense.
No.
Yeah. And it's hilarious that this set had both Assassins and Shade in it. Like, whew.
Yeah. But, like, he was definitely loved by the people who love that archetype. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, where you put him, Giovanni?
I'm not a big fan of this. I don't know if it's D tier, but it's low C tier at the very most.
I think it gets credit for being memorable, though.
Sure.
Like, I think I would put it above Rek'Sai biting for true damage, but not
Sure.
by a lot. Does that sound right, Witty?
Yeah, we're in. Yeah, we just put it right above there. Actually, it's
Okay.
way more problems, way more memorable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so then in 4.5, he became a Slayer, which meant he didn't jump to the back line now.
Yeah.
Honestly, a much healthier version, but obviously less powerful and more forgettable.
Yeah.
Especially
So-
as a direct comparison. Like, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, if I can't figure out something that makes it more interesting, at least on some axes, I'm like, it's just worse. I don't want to break the game, but I would rather make stuff that's memorable than make stuff that's just totally forgettable.
Yeah.
So is this higher or lower than Shade? Which is weird because, like, I get it in the context of the set that it was a downgrade, but, like, in terms of reprintability, it's better.
Yeah. I mean, well, we already talked about this idea that, like, we don't want to steal percent of targets AD.
Oh, was he still doing that at this time?
Uh-huh.
Oh, gross.
Which is why I'm like, even though... yeah,
gross.
so it's still C tier to me somewhere.
All right, let's just put them next to each other.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
gets a slight point above, but
Yeah.
this AD steal shit was so bad. Speaking of bad, we have Moonlight Brawler Silas, and I will
the
always
coolest of all the Moonlight units.
Yeah, right. So I always remember this because this was when I did the Chosen challenge, and he was the last one, and it took me like 7 tries because he was just so uneventfully bad.
Because he dealt damage in a 3-hex line, and getting that to hit more than one unit
Yeah.
ever was virtually impossible.
Yes. This to me
Yeah.
might be D tier.
Oh, he also mana reaved.
Oh, well, that helps everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is D.
Yeah.
This is some kind of 1-cost spell that also add problems that would have need to be solved.
Is this above Senna or Sona?
I think... I don't know. it's difficult because any context I think of him in is like propped up by Moonlight, which I
Yeah,
love.
of course. Moonlight was great.
But as an individual unit, he just was not it.
He was literally the person you were like regretted having in Moonlight.
I think it might be below Sona for me.
Oh, okay. But above Skarner.
Yes.
Okay. We found our bar.
Yes.
All right, Pike, the reprint's back, but better.
Yep, and we have 2 pikes again, so there's an only assassin version in 4.0, and then a gain slayer in 4.5.
I mean, those are basically the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
love
he
this
was
Pike.
better in Slayer. He was better in Slayer because you could actually play him as a carry. He got the Omnivamp he needed.
Yeah.
But
One of these pikes, I couldn't tell you which, is at least A tier to me. Like, I love this pike spell. I would do it again. We got to a really good point where his stun wasn't overpowering, but you were still very appreciative
Yeah,
of it. He could stay alive.
Let's put them both right below Annie. Does that sound fair?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the Slayer one slightly higher, but
Yeah.
they may as well be the same. All right, Annie, Fortune Mage. No, not the one on live. Hey.
This is great.
Reprint. Spell is a pretty interesting mage spell as well, so...
Didn't making this mage, like, really pigeonhole her, though? Like, you had to play mage with her?
I think so, and we see a more extreme version of that in set 6 with... No, I guess not with Vex. Vex wasn't mage, though.
No, that wasn't as bad. I remember, like, if you tried to play this champion without mage, it was like, she may as well not exist.
So the thing that I'm trying to think of is, she was a Fortune unit. Fortune was very popular.
Oh, yeah.
You usually only like went Fortune or were most excited to when you had
Tom Kench.
Fortune chosen in general. However you got it early, whether it's her or Tom Kench.
Yeah, it was usually Tom
opened
Kench,
you
but yeah.
up to the ability to add +1s, which allowed her to get mage more frequently. So even though she was tied to it, it was still fairly common when you needed it. And if you weren't in chosen Fortune, you were in mage, and she was very good for mage.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, better or worse than the mech pilot version? I think worse is my vote, but...
It's fairly similar to me because mech had its own problems, just kind of like...
I just don't like this spell as a double cast spell. I really don't. I think as a single cast spell, it's cleaner.
Oh, that's reasonable.
I can buy that.
Yep.
All right, so directly behind other Annie. All right, Hecarim.
He would raise his hand in the air and slowly drain health from people around him.
Yep. One of our first and least successful drain tanks.
I would not reprint this. I think that the pattern was very effective given its traits, which was Elderwood, which needed you to stall out and gain more value for the heal over time. He was also in Vanguard. So like he was a successful unit at doing what he needed to do, but from like a visual appreciability standpoint, from like I love this champion because he does something cool perspective, just so boring.
When he was unkillable, he was unkillable.
Yes.
Jeez. I did not like this guy. Like, because when he was viable, he was toxic, and when he wasn't viable, he was useless.
Yeah. So this is bottom of C or top of D for me.
Yeah, definitely worse than Darkstar Mordekaiser is the closest comparable.
Oh, like, by far.
By a lot. So, yeah, he's in bottom of C, maybe above.
We'll do bottom of C. Above who?
I think it's above. Maybe it is literally the bottom.
I think it's literally the bottom. I'll go literally bottom of C. All right, Cultist Siphoner Vladimir.
I know that this was some kind of heal spell.
Of course.
The clarity on it was like really bad, if I remember.
Yes. Well, because wasn't it his like AoE W or whatever? It wasn't his Q, was it?
No. Oh, God. So this was he deals damage to his target and then heals everyone around him for 50% of the damage. Right? God. So he was like a frontline tank support healer. But you wanted to build like AP on like bizarre unit. Absolutely bizarre.
And Siphoner is like healing from dealing damage?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did an AoE heal, but that was like 50% of the damage, but he healed more because he was a Siphoner.
Yeah, this is not great.
This is not great.
Is it worse than Skarner?
No. I don't even think it's like D tier. I don't think it's D tier.
I think it's.
Is it D tier?
Right
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm looking at the C tier champions. So I don't know what.
At least he was interesting, which is like puts him above Hecarim for me. Even if he was bizarre, like bizarre kit. So this is still bottom of C for me.
All right, I'll put him directly below Hecarim. I think he's directly below Hecarim. Janna, if I remember correctly, this is no, I'm probably getting my sets wrong. Never mind. This is the Janna that like gave a bunch of AD.
Yeah, so shield 2, 3, 4 allies, the lowest health ones,
right,
and to give them 20, 30, 60 AD, which was the flat AD of the time, not
Right. I mean,
I like
modern standards, it's garbage. But...
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, she's providing defensive capabilities and helping your team deal damage.
But you'd never itemize her. You'd never itemize her. But she got played.
The AD scaled with AP.
She did get played a lot though, just because of her traits.
Yeah, she fit really well into the trait web. Felt great with Talon.
Yeah, I think this within the set, she did exactly what she needed to do for the most part.
Agree.
So that's and if we reprinted her, which we kind of have at this point, set 11.
Live Janna, yeah, let's say Live Janna is like the more modern version of this spell.
This is just B. It's fine. It's old. It has things to resolve, but it was fine then, and we can make it work now, ish.
Where's it going B to you?
Maybe even above the weird projectile blocking Brahms, personally. Like it's a solid spell.
Okay. Witty?
Yeah, that's higher than I would go, but I think I'm looking at like below Pike.
Yeah, sure.
That means he has to be above Malzahar. Fine, I'll put him. I'll put him directly above Malzahar. Killing me. All right, Jarvan. I could not tell you what this spell did.
He basically stunned in a line. He did his flag pull.
Oh right.
And it did a lot of damage.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. You're right. Because like once you got going with Warlord, it could. There was the reroll Jarvan version when we overbuffed it that would just like
because it was Jarvan and Vi who would both do obscene amount of damage.
Yes.
Completely unexpectedly.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked this spell.
Same.
It was weird because I thought this spell was gonna be more of like kind of solving some of the Nautilus problems of let's spread the stun a little bit more out and maybe hit some backliners, have some interesting positioning. It was pretty fun to watch too. Like it's got some of the Pike properties of I'm moving around, I'm doing a Jarvan thing. And so on some level, like the times where he was like also murdering lots of units was like, oh geez, like that's just sounds like an overpowered spell. It was.
Yeah, it was.
Do you know what the scaling was?
I remember the 3-star being nutty.
175, 250. So okay, 750.
Yeah.
This is when we're on the kick of if they're otherwise a utility unit you don't itemize, make their 3-star
Blitzcrank, like the Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
But this was AOE, so that was a whole chunk of the enemy team gone if you itemized him.
All right, so where's it going?
We're below the cultist Pikes for me. I don't know if that puts him below Rakan.
I don't think he's A tier. I don't think this is A tier.
This is like right below B tier Rakan to me. It's kind of the same thing.
Top of B tier for me.
Okay. Fabled Nautilus. This feels like just slightly upgraded Nautilus.
What was the Fabled?
Reduces all incoming damage by 50% for 5 seconds. So he went from being like a frontline utility to a frontline like tank.
Yep.
And I want to say why there was something about this that made me feel like he had virtually permanent uptime. I think it's because that shield of damage reduction did not mana lock him.
Correct, because it's not a shield. It's just DR.
Right. Well, I mean, we still do that. Well, nowadays we do that.
Nowadays we would have a clean VFX that would do that, but monolocking for 5 seconds would have been a massive downgrade.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So at the time, it was not monolock. So you basically just had 50% DR uptime, which was insane. But I still think like this was a more fun version of the other Nautilus. So
this one also did an AoE stun. This is a single target 3, 4, 5 second knock-up or stun.
So it's just a healthier version, I think.
I like this a lot.
Yeah.
These stun times we wouldn't do again, but I like this a lot.
No, but stunning one target's not the end of the world.
For 5 seconds, 4 seconds.
Okay, maybe not 5 seconds.
4 seconds and 2 stars.
But I think this could go as high as like right with Jarvan.
Yeah, I agree. This might be above Jarvan for me, actually.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Vi, wasn't there a damage version of this build that was really fun? Although it might have been a bit of a meme.
It was when you got to 3-star, it had really high scaling. It was AP scaling, but it was in Warlords, and so you stacked up similar to Jarvan in a lot of ways. And it was kind of weird because she did a pretty large cone of damage, but then also reduced magic damage, but then also reduced armor by a ton. It was like 40, 50, 70% armor.
Right, which was confusing. I just remember I remember playing Reroll Vi and it being like kind of a meme, but kind of fun.
It was one of those things where when she was positioned properly, she would basically delete the entire front line in like
Right.
one shot.
Right.
But if not, she maybe killed one unit.
Right.
We have reprints of this at some point, or at least one, maybe. No,
I don't think so.
We have
like the
reused it
four- we have like
internally
the-
at some point.
Yeah.
yeah, we have like the 4-cost version that dashes and does this pattern.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's like decently high up.
Yeah, this is for me is like probably low B because I would redo this with some changes again, no problem. But it's not like as
Below
clean of a
Malzahar.
Nice. I do think this also is one of those things that really shows that like sometimes Vi's identity is really unclear, right? It's like, is she a tank? Is she a damage dealer? Why is she wearing death cap? Like, this is one of those ones where it's like for a lot of our players that don't necessarily play League, it's very unclear how to play this Vi.
Yeah.
So I think it is worse than the Threshes, but better than Mordekaiser.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll also say she had like it was 0 out of 50 mana, so she was.
Oh yeah, no,
spamming
she was
this punch.
cranking. Like it was
was
like
a
blue buff,
lot
death
of
cap,
damage.
jeweled gauntlet kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, Lulu, she's back, but now she double casts.
It's hard to say if this is better or worse. Double casting this spell is fun. She probably loses some points of this starts to feel even a little bit less like appropriate for it's less appropriate for smaller board. It's like maybe like it works really well in Elderwood. It's playing into that whole game,
Yeah.
but it works really well in Elderwood.
I think it literally just goes right with the other Lulu. I don't think it's that
I think
different.
it is a step down for me.
Right, I would put it below,
so,
but
yeah.
still above the like literally above the Annie, right next to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we also removed. So I'm pretty sure set 1 Lulu had number of targets go up 1,
Yes.
2, 3.
Yes.
And we removed that, and it was only 1 target, but the
Well, you think it
size
was
and
wasn't it
everything.
2 with the double cast though?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, okay, Teemo. I loved this little guy. I mean, it's basically a reprint of what we have now on set 11.
Yeah.
But he was fine.
It was a little bit strange because it was an AOE.
Oh, was it?
I believe so.
Really? With sharpshooter?
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
one hex. Wait, yeah, this was 1 hex. And didn't this have some kind of utility?
It blinded.
Yeah, that's blinded.
Oh, I take back everything nice I said. No.
Yeah, because in this set we had a single target like obliterating unit, which was Vayne, and so we didn't want that, and so we wanted some utility, and then that's why Jinx had a stun as well as a 3-cost sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would not do blind again. I wouldn't expect this to be an AOE again.
I mean, the set 11 version is just the better version of the spell then.
Yes.
But,
Minus it being Dangos, but yeah.
well, okay. So where are we putting this at?
Somewhere in C. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but like it has a lot of things I would not look to redo.
I think it's better than Volibear, worse than Fire Varus.
Sure.
Okay. Braum, he's back again, but this time hopefully we've improved him. I think this is where we're starting to get to like proper Braum.
I
think
like this guy a lot.
Basically cleaned everything up here. There's no facing thing. There's no projectile blocking. A little odd in Dragon Soul, but that was, I think, necessary because it was like a big vertical.
Yeah, I mean, it needed a tank. Yeah.
It was one of those things too where because he had such like high uptime on survivability, even though he wasn't proccing it as frequently, if he was the last one alive, he was still getting a good number of procs because he stayed alive.
And he would like win a fight necessarily in overtime. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. This is one of my favorite tanks of all time, I want to say. The other thing is the way we did DR scaling was the correct way to do it, which was the stat efficiency per 100.
Right, the AP thing, yeah.
Explaining that in a formula to players, good luck. But like, it's the correct way to do it, I think. So I'm very positive on Braum to the point where it's. For me, this might be the best 2-cost tank we've ever done, which would put him in S tier, but I'm willing to hold that until later to see if someone is better.
Let's put him at the bottom of S tier for now, and then go from there. Because I agree, like, I think there's some good there for sure. And our S tier is looking pretty light anyway.
Well, 2-costs are weird.
2-costs are weird.
Like,
I know.
Yeah.
Jax, he's back, but different.
Yeah, is he different? I don't.
No, he's not different, I don't think.
Oh, so he's literally just Berserk Light, but now he's Divine Duelist?
Yeah, and because he was not in Berserker, he had higher uptime on his spell because he had more attack speed. Because he was, what was he in? Was he light?
Yeah, he was Berserker Light before. Now he's
And so
Divine
Divine had
Duelist.
the proc.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very similar, honestly. We needed a frontliner.
Directly
we-
above the other one.
Yeah, we were embracing reprints at the time of like 30-40% reprints. It felt like it fit, but
Yep.
yeah, didn't fix any problems.
All right, Aphelios. How did this 4-cost get on this list?
What a cool unit. Oh, now we're talking about Aphelios pre or post rework.
I mean, I don't remember the difference.
One of them, this happened, I think, maybe a month into set 4, I want to say. Like, for a while, you went Shojin's Rageblade, and he would create an escalating number of turrets.
I remember, yeah.
And then eventually, maybe we had a mana lockout or something, or like there was a
I
fixed
think
number that
it
could
was the
exist.
turrets procced his on hits.
Yeah, something like that.
They're an extension of his will.
Right. So they would proc Shojin. So yeah, you would get like, I mean, either way, this guy was so probably one of the most memorable 2-costs from that era for sure. But like I said, I think he's secretly a 4-cost masquerading as a 2-cost. Like, you could literally reprint him as a 4-cost now, and people would be like, "This guy's great. I love him."
Man, and honestly, some of our best champions are when you take them from a 4 or 3 cost and move them down to a 1 or 2 cost.
4-star was disgustingly toxic.
Yeah.
He
So memorable. So
Oh yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think he gets to be in B tier just from the memories alone. But like I
wouldn't
said,
reprint him.
I would reprint him as a 4-cost. I would reprint him as a 4-cost.
That's
I
fair.
would.
That's fair.
He's a solid 4-cost, but this is not a 2-cost.
That's very fair.
That gets him
Somewhere in
above Malzahar.
Fuck
true.
yeah. Oh, you're gonna make me put him above Malzahar, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. Is he below
It's like-
Janna?
I think above Janna.
Yeah.
I think above Ari.
Wait, really? That high?
That's only 2
I
places up. From
I
Janna,
feel
right?
like if we put him this high, we're basically saying, oh yeah, the best way to make good 2-cost is overload the kit.
All right,
I think that is incorrect.
Fine.
I do not think he's elegant or anything like that. I think he's just secretly a 4-cost.
All right, that's true.
I'll
stand by
give
it.
you directly below Malzahar. How about that?
Below.
Yeah, that's
Above.
Fine. All right, 2 to
I'm in
1.
above.
All
Because
right.
Malzahar had his own problems as well.
All right,
We're-
fine. Directly above. You win. 2 to 1. All right. Varys, Redeemed Ranger. Was this the like Rain of Arrows?
Yep. Rain of Arrows deals some damage, buffs any allies that arrows land on.
Oh wait,
which
we're in
is
set
kinda
5.
weird.
We're in set 5.
Yeah, this is set 5.
Okay,
Yep.
we made set 5. Cool.
Late into the set, this single-handedly enables the Bulldozer comp with Pantheon.
Which was totally on purpose.
There was an intentional on-hit hook here. We didn't test with Pantheon specifically, but keep the options open. This is pretty. I also don't remember this causing problems either. Like this just
No, it's fine.
worked pretty well as a and was this is when we're starting to get good at if you have a big vertical, one of the ways that you can make your 2-cost relevant is have them do the damage type that is not the same as the primary carry in the comp, which was Vel'Koz at 4-cost.
Yep.
So it's like you're playing redeemed, but you're stuck with AD items. You can play the Varys comp instead.
Yep.
I like them a lot. I don't know if we would reprint this because it is kind of like weird that this backline like Rain of Arrows empowers your allies. Like it's thematically very bizarre, but mechanically like did everything it needed to do for this comp, and I'm very positive.
Yeah,
on that.
2-cost shoot Rain of Arrows, deal damage, and add a tiny bit of utility. I think that's a great spell. I think that's
Yeah.
a solid spell.
Yeah, for me, the only problem with it is the ceremony behind it.
Yeah. So where are we putting
Raining
it?
buff arrows on my allies.
Yes, that's weird. Where are we putting it?
Somewhere in B, probably, maybe.
Are we? Yeah, we're either like top of B or bottom of A.
Yeah.
I'll do
that's
bottom
fine.
of A. I'll do bottom of A. I think this was pretty solid. I would reprint this spell, like I said, with minor adjustments.
Sure.
Nautilus for the 3rd time. I'm pretty sure it's the same Nautilus, isn't it?
It is the same. Well, I think we're back to AoE, but
Sure.
much lower stun and no like primary, secondary. and he's got, we don't give him his own like defense because he's got like the 2 best defensive traits in the set.
Yep.
Super set. I think this is to me at least like kind of the fully cleaned up version of this, or at least is equivalent to the
I think it's equivalent to Fabled.
Fabled one.
So this one was 3-4 6-second stun, 50% effect on adjacent.
Oh, it is still primary secondary. Okay.
Yep.
So it really is just an Astro reprint, but with better traits. Like, I remember Ironclad being very desirable, Knight being very good, probably to the point where it's almost problematic here. So I don't know. I would literally just put this directly below the Vanguard Astro version.
Below, above, either way, right next to.
Okay. I'm going to put it directly below for now. Okay. Brand. Abomination Spellweaver Brand. I have feelings on this one. You guys first.
I like Brand.
This was the blue buff AoE damage dot. Like,
was it AoE? I thought it was
not AoE.
Target.
Sorry, I meant single target. But like, he would cast it and spread it and hit many targets.
I kept trying to make him work and it never did. But there was a clear dream there that I was really excited about personally, and I would redo a champion just like this again in the future, I think.
I mean, we did many times.
Traits. Yeah.
We did many times. So.
And this is like the more refined version of Teemo, where we're also trying to pull the 3.5 Cassiopeia pattern down to 2 cost.
Yep.
A lot of that work, and Spellweaver totally good, makes a lot of sense here. A-bomb, you can get into all sorts of conversations about like how that part, but I think he also like often was just not even played in A-bomb, right? You
Correct.
just play this guy as some random
He
Spellweaver.
was trait bot in A-bomb or played in Spellweaver with, like I said, blue buff Gunblade. Brambulance was a common.
You would also just stall comp add him in as like the person who did that with Gunblade. I'm very positive on him overall.
I think I'm putting him next to like Varus in the Redeemed Varus. It's like almost some of the same properties of good spell, makes a lot of sense at 2 cost, fit pretty well. It's not perfect. We would clean some stuff up, but like
he also shredded MR. So you could just put him in without items and comps as well. Like he does everything I want out of a 2 cost, and so he's like comfortably A tier for me. Bottom of A, sure.
Can I argue S tier? I would say it like I think he's bottom of S tier. I think the 2 cost blue buff dot champion paradigm. This was done well. I think, we're seeing it with Teemo, but like we've reprinted this a bunch. Zoe does the same thing. It's a common archetype that works well. I'm admittedly biased because I have very fond memories of Brambulance. I thought that was a very fun paradigm. The fact that you could play him Spellweaver, you could play him in isolation. I thought he was a very well done 2 cost. But I could be in the minority here.
I'm confidently A. If you want to slot him in S, sure.
Witty, you're the tiebreaker. Is he better than Blitzcrank?
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, but there's less problems to solve here, and is much more repeatable pattern as well. Which, yeah, okay, cool. Bottom S.
Sweet.
I'll take it. I love that champ. Speaking of champs I don't love, Shadow Blue Bluff LeBlanc.
Yeah. So we're putting Shadow Blue Buff in D tier. LeBlanc is worse than
It's worse than the other one by a lot.
Than the other one.
Yeah. Assassin stunned longer because it was a 2.5 second stun. But the damage didn't scale as well.
Well, she wasn't a mage, so she needed a longer stun, said no one ever.
Yeah, I don't know. Not great.
Is she going down to D?
I think so.
I think she's worse than Cloud Yasuo, but better than Syndra.
Sure.
Okay, Sejuani. I do not remember what this champion did. I remember she existed and her traits were good. I remember late in the set, there were some people that like claimed she was overpowered. I remember like Goobums yelling at me how overpowered this champ was. I could not tell you what she did.
Signals Bristol to charge, dealing magic damage and stunning her target for 2, 3, 4 seconds, then gains frost armor, gaining 100, 150, 300.
So just really tanky. Really tanky.
Yeah, technically this is kind of another variation on Nautilus. We're back to single target. We give her a bunch of like defensive stats. I think the clarity on this spell was very bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's also two versions of this, one with Brawler, one without, and I think the one without Brawler is a tiny bit better because it's not just like the most ball of stats.
Right, that you would play in every
time.
comp everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, for the time, not very memorable. Like, so it's one of those things where if we look at just the shape of the spell and said we want a unit who does this with good visuals, I'm like, we can get there, we can do something, but with her visuals,
Ugh.
just
Yeah.
not great at all. Like bottom of C, maybe even top of D implies to me that there are like fundamental design problems that like.
So it's
really
better
are
than
difficult to
Jax.
solve.
It's better than Jax to you?
So, yeah, I think so.
Okay. But worse than Hecarim? Better than Hecarim?
Might even be
I
better.
at
than
least
Hecarim.
remembered Hecarim. I don't know.
Oh,
Okay, so right below Hecarim, but above Vladimir, the weird AoE Vlad.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay, and then Witty, you said the Brawler one is slightly worse.
that's my memory,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next one is shout out to Kiting is Hard for one of the most memorable TFT clips of all time, where the Trundle 1 beats like frickin' Zyra 3 and some other 3, like some stupid thing that made no sense. This champ, I don't know, this might be worse than Skarner and Jace to me in
Yeah,
terms
this
of what
is-
it did to TFT.
We have reprinted this.
No,
as a
we
full
haven't.
cost.
No.
Nasus.
No, but that was and I even remember having to have the debate of why we couldn't do Nasus. Like Nasus had to be a much more toned down, stole up like
diffused.
oh yeah. Well, and like, but it wouldn't even be relative to the enemy's strength. It was just flat because like this was relative to the enemy's strength, which was like this is what made me kill this paradigm anytime someone brings it up again because I'm like, no, stop punishing me for making my army stronger. And so because of that, I think this is one of, if not the most toxic unit we've ever printed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely in D. I'm trying to think of how low we're going in D.
I would rather have a unit like this than Skarner.
Ugh.
I'm sorry. I like Skarner. Skarner and Jace just represent like just something that is like there is some version of stealing stats. In some
Skarner,
way
at least
that
I
makes
could
sense.
like I could play the RFC version and it didn't break the game. Like all right, Witty. So he's either directly above or directly below Skarner. Witty, you're the tiebreaker here, arguing for who's the shittiest.
Oh, it's above for me because my tiebreak is almost always. Do you remember it? The answer is yes.
Fine. Fine. All right, Hecarim's back, but more annoying because now he's a forgotten cavalier.
Is this just a reprint?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Worse?
Uh-oh.
I directly below, I guess.
Yeah.
Because his traits were worse, but that also made him easier to balance. But like he didn't use Forgotten well, if I remember right.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not a good spell. It wasn't good the next time. The only thing I liked about him was Cavalier. Cavalier was fun.
Speaking of forgettable, this set, Draconic set,
Did he punch?
he did punch for like
This is,
50 damage.
and I think did this repeat the Vi thing, or was this physical and physical shreds? So
No,
at
it was,
least
it was physical.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was so little damage because he was Draconic that like, it wasn't until the last patch that he was even remotely worth putting items on.
Oh yeah, all the Draconic units were like
Yeah,
just
were garbage.
mega deflated.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he gets dragged down by Draconic, but
Oh, yeah.
rightfully so. So
Yeah.
we're in.
Would I reprint a set punch?
I mean,
Sure.
yeah, but like,
Yeah, but within the context of the set.
I
yeah,
think that puts him next to like Varus in C tier. Maybe he goes lower. Maybe he's just even worse.
I think he's worse than Shadow Blue Buff LeBlanc. At least I remember Shadow Blue Buff LeBlanc. Tell me I'm wrong. It's fine.
This is like Hecarim for me.
Okay.
Levels personally.
Yeah.
That's what Woody said too. So right below Varus.
Yep.
All right. See, I'm getting better at not just being like, no. Aurelia. This was, I remember this champion because this was the start of Soju's rant about how there should never be a 3-trait 2-cost champion.
Yeah, which I think was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. But I remember that rant.
It's placed in a like like this is the opposite of like set 2 LeBlanc of, hey, you can put a 3 trait 2 cost that like expands the trait web, leads to interesting decisions. This was like parasitic. It was like, this is all roads lead to Irelia. Everyone wants Irelia in the early game. Spell was very whatever and was like bending over backwards to try to operate with her like weird combination of traits.
Do you remember what the spell actually did?
It's like, let me see if I'm gonna get this wrong. It's she gains DR and she keeps attacking, and every time she attacks, she gets something.
More DR.
More DR? Okay.
Yeah, so she gains 30, 40, 50% DR, and every time she attacks, she gains 10% more, up to 80%.
Yeah, because the idea was to encourage her to try to get some attack speed.
Right.
From, I think, Legionnaire?
And Sentinel. Both.
Yep. Right.
And Skirmisher? They were all
Skirmisher was AD, I thought.
Oh, was it AD? It was, Shield AD? Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shield AD.
Yeah, Legionnaire was the attack speed one because that was the Nidalee trait.
Yep.
So.
This is not good.
No.
Yeah, we're
heading it here.
From structure perspective, from spell perspective, from like Aurelia's a frontline perspective, by all accounts, nothing succeeded here in my mind, other than like, if you told me I had to have an Aurelia that was a Sentinel Legionnaire Skirmisher, would this design get us there? Yes. Would I ever want to see this in a set again? No. So
yeah, it's in like Rek'Sai, the D tier Rek'Sai, like the whole package just like doesn't make sense.
Is it above Syndra but below LeBlanc?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Pike's back, but worse than last Pike, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, we're like, we know the problems with Pike, and so we're like shrinking and working around those, but not giving him back anything interesting.
Yeah.
And has like Sentinel's not a great fit.
Yep.
Where's our other Pikes?
Our other Pikes are sitting way up in A.
Yeah.
Or no, the base one is at B. The base one's at B.
Mm-hmm.
Can we say this is worse than Malzahar?
Yeah, for sure. This is going closer to the bottom of B.
Agreed.
I think it's better than Vi, though.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better than Vi, worse than Ocean Thresh. Okay. Dawnbringer, Renewer, Soraka. I can't remember. There was something about this champion that made her really toxic, and I can't remember what it is.
Soraka calms the area around the enemy with the highest current % mana, dealing magic damage to all enemies hit and increasing the cost of their next ability. So just sometimes you can hit a clump of backliners.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to what we have on live. Like, I think this is what people were... This is like a reprint of what was on live, but also on live it's a 3 cost. So.
And then had Renewer, which was regenerate health once you're full, which
and then you get mana. And so she'd get a lot of mana. Like, you could do the Renewer Soraka that would be really annoying and mana reave the team.
Yep.
I mean, it's an okay spell. It has all the same problems as AoE, one hex AoEs, though, where it's like, sometimes it hits 1 target and does something. Sometimes it hits 5 targets and blows everyone up that I continue to hate. But other than that, it was fine.
Yeah.
Forgettable
for me, not terrible. It's kind of like this like support unit you could theoretically itemize, but you realistically didn't. Just like low B, top of C somewhere.
Yeah, I think we're in C territory, but like top of C, yeah, it's fine.
I think it's better than Nico. Better than Nico.
Yeah.
Okay. Syndra redeemed. This was the pick 'em up and throw one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this was good in this set because it had assassins and it had introduced counterplay.
Yes.
Which I'm very positive on, but without a world of assassins, this would be not great.
Yeah, and I do remember that. I remember there being a lot of complaining where it was just like, they have a Syndra, I lose, and it's like, yeah, that's what she does in the hard counter world. I remember her being very memorable though, and like you said, I don't know. So like you said, in the context of the set, pretty solid.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, this is a very fun pattern to watch. It's like, it's tough, right? This is single target, like Omega CC. Your unit's just completely like dispositioned. Yeah, Yeah, somewhere in B tier to me.
Yeah, we would have problems reprinting this, but like for the time, good.
Better than Thresh?
Yeah. Everything's now it's around Thresh rather than Malzahar, so we get away from that. Yeah, it's already down below.
I'm legitimately asking, is it better than Malzahar?
I think so, but
okay.
Yeah, I think we'd have an easier time reprinting a version of Malzahar. I think it'd drag it down. I just don't know how to reprint this unit. So
yeah.
That's
okay. So better than the Threshes, but worse than the Nautiluses.
Yeah.
Okay. Hellion Cannoneer Tristana. I remember this being good, like a solid basic 2-cost auto attacker. I don't remember exactly what the twist was.
No, this was the terrifying one that we added at the mid set that was like jumping into backlines, wasn't it?
yeah, she would jump, and I remember this because when units go off screen in TFT, they stop tracking their vertical displacement properly. So she would jump off screen and never come down. And that's
okay.
we first saw that here because she jumped too high.
Okay.
Yeah, this is leap away from enemy. I thought we had to do like a major rework to this or something.
Probably.
Yeah, leaps away from an enemy and gains.
So it's like a worse version of what we have on live for the 3-cost.
I don't know about worse.
Yeah,
Fair.
That just misses. This was
you're right.
Get away from people, do damage. Tristan is like flip
all right,
a coin.
I see what you're saying.
This started as leap behind the farthest enemy.
Oh God.
And if there were any enemy, but if there's someone adjacent to her, she leaps away. So if she was untouched at the start of combat, no assassins, no whatever, she would jump into your backline and act as a like pseudo assassin. But then she would jump away and try to kite and whatever. It's like certainly it's got tiny bits of pieces of the Kindred Lucian kiting pattern, but like wildly more dangerous and like assassin-y. There's some version of this where it's the like Tristana that gets into your backline that the live version is trying to get at but doesn't really get at. This is still not good. Like she's above D tier to me, but
yeah, this is somewhere in the lower C tier for me.
I think it's better than Draconic Set. I think it's worse than Demon Varus.
Sure.
Okay. All right, Thresh is back. We got another Forgotten Knight Thresh.
Is he a reprint again?
I don't know. I think so.
Oh no, this is the poll. Okay, that's right.
Oh.
Pulls in like 2 hexes, right?
All right. Yeah, pulls a limited number of hexes, does not pull all the way, and the theory was that a version of Blitzcrank that did not cast at the start of combat would be healthier. It was not healthier.
It was not.
Less healthier. I'm going to agree with Mort's initial face. Mort went, oh. So there's something, like, I'm probably in B territory of, he got a lot of credit for being memorable. The way this actually played out, like, I would have probably taken this spell and instead gave him full mana so that he would,
right?
Or did he even like try that? I don't know, but like,
yeah, I agree though. Like, if we're gonna do it like a light version, yeah.
Blitz, but pulls them 1 or 2 hexes out of the corner rather than all the way to your team with a good Thresh-looking ceremony. I like a lot of those pieces.
Right. Bottom of B, literally bottom of B.
Sure.
Okay. All right, Victor. This champ was uneventful. Like, he would do the Q shield thing. It was like the thing where he shoots it and then gets the shield.
Single target nuke, and then like 3 shields would bounce to your like front line or something like that.
Yeah, it was.
Is a really weird interpretation of Victor. Right. Not a good fantasy for him. I think that spell. I don't know what champion would want that spell, but someone
Lux maybe.
Yeah,
somehow.
Someone that felt more appropriate to have that type of utility. Like, this was fine, but it was not good for Victor and wasn't memorable.
Could be Janna as well. Yeah, there's basically a support unit who could do this, not Victor.
C tier?
Yeah, and would we redo this again? Seriously? You know,
I mean, a single target caster with a little utility. He's not like breaking any rules. He's just basic, which isn't necessarily bad.
Right. I just like it's misplaced on Victor. It wasn't appreciable or memorable. Yeah, it could be just bottom of C tier.
I don't think it's that bad. Is it?
Really? Okay.
Witty?
I think it depends on how much you weigh the, like, this is a weird, like, if you're trying to framework, like, who is Victor, fundamentally the support unit. And I don't remember how this ended up being like if this was a single target nuke and a little bit of shielding.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like I would reprint that as a Victor 2 cost if I had to. That'd be fine.
So it was 60% shielding, 40% damage. So it was 300, 500, 800 damage, 150, 250, 425 shield times 3. So he was more shielding than he was damage.
Yeah, which is not good. Which that part's not good. But like again, if I literally just took it to modern standards of support damage, I'd be like, I'd make this spell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not on Victor.
So I think he's better than like Steel Rek'Sai.
Yeah, I'm probably all the way up, like, below Rakan territory.
Elderwood Keeper Rakan?
Yeah,
all right. And then our last one for set 5, and maybe the last one for this half of the video. Hellion Skirmisher Kennen. I remember this guy being a nightmare as far as like pathfinding and which way to go, and like sometimes he would just do nothing, and other times he would like hit everything, and he was played a lot because of his traits.
He would go through his target and then to the furthest, so he did like a check mark kind of thing.
Or I think it was furthest, and then it might have been just double furthest or something.
It caused a lot of problems.
But it was I think it was always bugged. This thing never worked correctly.
Yeah.
It's sort of the Jarvan pattern, but worse.
Way worse.
I like between Jarvan and Pike, and it gets like neither of what you want out of either.
Yeah. So it's below. Yeah, where's our worst Pike?
I mean, our worst Pike is way up there. This is way worse than that, though.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't look to reprint this. That automatically puts this in C tier. Like, is there a version that is like Kennen but Pike? Yes. But is there a version that like bounces around with it?
See, like, to me, this is worse than Rek'Sai Bites for true damage. It just caused so many more problems. It was overcooked, overcomplicated. Yeah. Like I would put this right with that Tristana that was also causing problems.
Sure.
I'll put it right above that Tristana because at least it was more played. And okay, so that's set 1 through 5, and we're sitting here at almost 2 hours. So we're going to take a break from this video, but we are going to record part 2 today. So this will go up later, but I don't know that you want to sit through a 4-hour video, and some of us might need a bathroom break or a drink. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with part 2 in just a bit. So that's going to do it for this video. Until next time, take it easy.